What's up, YouTube fam? Lou here with another Godlike Collectibles video. Finally came back. I was away for a couple days. Wifey's birthday, went away for the weekend, so I'm back. And uh, not my last video, because the last video I was kind of sick, but the video before, I caught a lot of flack for the whole Joe Mauer thing, Don Mattingly thing, whatever, of the Hall of Fame. And you know, Joe Mauer, it was impressive that he got 3 batting titles, and I give him that. But I was kind of making more of my case for Mattingly than I did for, you know, the way it came out. It was like I kind of crapped all over Joe Mauer. But it is what it is. I still feel some of the points that I mentioned about Joe Mauer, I still stand by it. But congratulations to him nonetheless, right? But I did want to talk about today was about a couple of first basemen that I think that have a chance to be in the Hall of Fame or should be in the Hall of Fame. And I was going over some stats and looking at some people that are already in the Hall of Fame and comparing the numbers. And a lot of them are very similar, if not better, than those that are already in the Hall of Fame, right? So I took four Hall of Famers, first basemen, and I started looking at their numbers and started comparing it to some of the guys that I think should be in the Hall of Fame or should be at least considered and looked at. So one of the guys I want to show, you know, is Andres Galarraga. I think he has a strong case for it. Maybe a lot of people think that he doesn't. But looking at his numbers, his career numbers, he got over 1,400 RBIs. He was one shy of 400 home runs. He's got over 400 doubles. He's got over 1,100 runs. Over 2,300 hits. A lifetime batting average of 288. He's got 2 Gold Gloves. He has a batting title. He has 2 Silver Sluggers and 5 All-Star appearances. Not bad. So I thought maybe he should be somebody that has some consideration. And the reason why I say this is because I was looking at some of the Hall of Famers like Orlando Cepeda, Johnny Mize, Gil Hodges, and Tony Perez. Those are the 4 that I picked out. I picked Tony Perez because he was voted in by the writers. And he played for 23 years. Now, granted, the last maybe 4 or 5 years, he didn't play many games. I don't think he played more than 90 games a year. But looking at his numbers, he hit 379 home runs, 1,600 RBIs, over 500 doubles, excuse me, over 1,200 runs, and over 2,700 hits. So considering that he played more years than Galarraga, it makes sense that he would have more hits and a couple of other things. But Galarraga got him by home runs. They're not that far apart in RBIs. And Perez has 7 All-Star appearances and 2 World Series championships. But he has no other accolades as far as, you know, as a single, just individual stats. Gil Hodges was one that I looked at, and his numbers are pretty low. You know, doubles. He 295. He never got to 2,000 hits. He's at 1,100 runs. He's got 370 home runs, which is impressive. 1,274 in RBIs. He's got 3 Gold Gloves, 8 All-Star appearances. Now, one thing that I did look into his thing, he had 2 years where he didn't play early in his career. and I think it was due to military service. So in that sense, I get that. But like I said, Galarraga has similar numbers. Um, the same with Orlando Cepeda, 2,300 hits, 400 doubles, 379 home runs, over 1,300 RBIs, over 1,100 runs. He is an 11-time All-Star. He does have an MVP. He was a Rookie of the Year. But like I said, when you look at Galarraga's numbers and look at Cepeda's numbers, they're really not that off. And Johnny Mize, he's got 2,000 hits, over 1,100 runs, over 360 doubles, 359 homers, over 1,300 RBIs. Now, he also missed some years, I think, to military service. I think he missed out on 3 years. But he does have a batting title, and he does have 10 All-Star appearances, plus 5 World Championships. But I think Galarraga's numbers are in that range where you could compare him to those Hall of Famers, and he's not that far off. If anything, he's ahead of some of them with the numbers. Another guy that I want to show is Will Clark. This is one of his rookie cards, the Toys R Us. Now, Will Clark, his numbers are not as great as far as the power numbers, but he does have a batting average of 303 lifetime. He's got over 1,200 RBIs. He's got 284 homers. He's got 440 doubles, over 1,100 runs, and he's got over 2,100 hits in a 15-year career. 6-time All-Star, has a Gold Glove, 2 Silver Sluggers, and the National League Championship MVP. So, like I said, when you start comparing them to the numbers of some of these Hall of Famers, they're really not that off, you know what I mean? Another guy, Steve Garvey, another first baseman. I think that he should be in the Hall of Fame. Him more than the others. Garvey, almost 2,600 hits, over 1,100 RBIs. Over 1,100 runs, 448 doubles, 272 home runs, over 1,300 RBIs, and a lifetime batting average of 294. He's got 4 Gold Gloves. He's got an MVP. He's got 10 All-Star appearances, 2 National League Championship MVPs. And he also has 6 seasons where he had 200 or more hits, which I think is huge. The fact that he's not in is really surprising to me. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he's not in there, but to have 6 seasons with over 200 hits a year, that's pretty impressive, man. 4 Gold Gloves. Like I said, a lot of his numbers are equivalent or better than those of the guys that are in the All-Star. In the Hall of Fame. So, I don't know. This was another one that I think I'm really surprised he's not in. But Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez, I know he's not the big power hitter that a lot of people come to look at first baseman as. But at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be a power hitter. I know that they want their first baseman to be power, but you know something? The fact that he's probably the greatest defensive first baseman as far as like with the Gold Gloves, the fact that he has 11 Gold Gloves and he leads everybody with Gold Gloves and he's not in the Hall, it's kind of like wild. Like, it's hard to imagine that what we consider probably the best defensive first baseman at his position is not in the Hall of Fame. Now, Keith Hernandez numbers, over 2,100 hits, over 1,100 runs, over 420 doubles. He only has 162 home runs, and he's got a little over 1,000 RBIs. And he has a lifetime batting average of 296. But 5 All-Star appearances, 11-time Gold Glove. He has a batting title. He has 2 Silver Slugger awards. He has an MVP, and he's a 2-time World Series champ. So the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame is kind of bothersome, right? Because I think you could tell he was a leader. And the eye test will show you that he was a great player, great first baseman, great hitter. So, I think in his era, it's hard to compare. One of the things that sucks is trying to compare guys from different eras, right? Because everything is always different. The rules are different in games. The amount of players, when you think of guys like, let's say, Cy Young, he pitched against 8 teams, I think. I think there was like 8 teams in the league. And then you look at it now and you got all these different teams. You're facing more competition, more hitters. And yet, you see that this guy has all these wins and all these things. And it's like, how do you compare a guy like him, like a guy like Cy Young, and let's say to a guy like Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens or Nolan Ryan, when you had more hitters to pitch to, have more competition, they didn't see you as often. When you got 8 teams, it's like you're seeing the same batters over and over again. You already know what they can hit, what they can't hit. So, I don't know. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right, but, it's hard to compare players from certain eras to eras from today, eras from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. But if you look at the era in the 80s, you're going to say that Keith Hernandez was one of the best first basemen in the league when you look at the 80s. Yeah, he wasn't the big power hitter, but defensively, he was one of the best, if not the best. He was a 300 hitter in the 80s. Like, how do you take that away from him? I just don't see how he's not in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be there. And then the last guy I wanted to talk about was Carlos Delgado. Right? Carlos Delgado, he big time power hitter. And he has some interesting numbers, right? The fact that he didn't even get 5% of the vote his first year was shocking to me. Especially that the reason why it was even the fact that he had over 400 home runs, well, actually over 450. He had 473 home runs in his career. And he wasn't even getting, I think he got 3% his first year, and then he fell off the ballot. He had over 1,500 RBIs. Didn't even get 5%. He fell off the ballot. I just don't get it, And when I'm looking at all these other guys that are in the Hall of Fame, none of them hit 400 home runs. None of them hit 1,500 RBIs. But yet, Carlos Delgado fell off. And Carlos Delgado got over 2,000 hits, over 1,200 runs, over 480 RBIs, 473 home runs, over 1,500 RBIs, over 1,000 walks, a 280 lifetime hitter, and on top of that, 11 years in his career, he hit over 30 home runs or more. And 10 of those years were in consecutive. And I think 2 of those years he hit over 40. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, he hit over 30 home runs a year consecutively for 10 years. And this guy's not in the Hall of Fame. It's like mind-boggling to me. And I know that, I think, me personally, is the fact that because he played in Toronto, he didn't get as much love and popularity as a lot of the other first basemen that were in the States. He only has 2 All-Star appearances, so he never really got voted in. Toronto wasn't really popular. They really weren't, at that time When he came in, they already won their championships. So when he came along, they weren't really winning. He was on a losing squad, and then that was around the time when the Yankees really took off and the Yankees were winning from 96 on. So I think he fell under the radar and didn't get no love at all. But the fact that he has these numbers is it's like shocking to me. You know, and I know that hitting 400 home runs in a career is not a lock for the Hall of Fame, but when you look at it, only 58 players in history have over 400 home runs or more. Only 58 players in the history of the game have 400 or more home runs, and this dude is not in the Hall of Fame. So, and I get it. He don't have a lot of individual awards. He wasn't a defensive guy, but you know what? He came up as a catcher that made the transition to first base. And so he didn't really play first base before that. He was playing catcher for most of his minor league career and coming up. So the fact that he had to make the transition to first, you know what I mean? But I don't know. What do you guys think about these guys? You know what I mean? Andres Galarraga, Will Clark, Steve Garvey, Keith Hernandez, and Carlos Delgado. Do you think these guys will get in with the Veterans Committee? I don't know. What do you think? You think I'm wrong that I think these guys should maybe have a chance to get in? At least Keith Hernandez and Garvey gotta get in. Like those guys, you know what I mean? Definitely gotta get in. I don't see how you have a Hall of Fame and the guy that leads has the all-time gold gloves is not even in the Hall of Fame. That's insane. You know what I mean? For the position. I don't know. That's my opinion. But, I wanted to share some cards with you guys. At the same time, share my thoughts on what I thought about these five first basemen. If I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. What do you guys think? You can comment below. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. If you agree. I didn't bring up Don Mattingly because I always bring up Don Mattingly. So that's why I didn't bother to bring him up in this discussion. And that's why I started to talk about these particular guys, because these guys were actually able to play through their whole career without injury the way Mattingly did. And they had, for the most part, had better numbers, for the exception of maybe Will Clark. But what do you think? Let me know. Take care. God bless. Be safe. Peace.